right? We are the great people. We need to come together and build something. And I think that's what people need to understand: collective action, social solidarity, like this understanding that it's us against them. And when I say us, I mean not the wealthiest 1% and everybody else.
Experience Karen Hunter in a completely different way. Karen Hunter is awesome. The podcast.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're going to love me. And Karen Hunter is awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of The Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is Awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power. A 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed. Let's go to Leslie in Georgia. Welcome to the Karen Hunter Show.
Hi, Karen. Hi, Joel.
Hey, Leslie.
Hey, how are you, Leslie?
I'm great. Thank you. Fairly new listener, first-time caller. I think I've learned to kind of speak Karenese in my short time listening, so I can't say she's great, and I can't be all effusive about how grateful we are for what she does, so I have to speak in code and be like,
why do you know this? Wait, Leslie, how long you been listening, and why did you know this? I love you.
Yeah, well, just kind of every day, you know, I kind of sit here and work and have it on, you know, so I'm like, I got to just say, you're all right.
Thank you.
I'm not too grateful.
I take it.
But what I want to say is that I think that we keep looking at this whole thing kind of through a political lens, and I think we kind of have to look at the game through a more psychological lens. These people are deeply disordered, and we need to look up malignant narcissism, not just narcissism, malignant narcissism. If you really research it, you have their playbook, because what they do, they turn people against each other. They use the smear campaign. They rewrite history. They're either malignant narcissists or they're flying monkeys, which kind of ties into your topic yesterday. Okay? That's where that term comes from with the whole wicked thing. I know you guys aren't taking calls on that, but I couldn't get through yesterday to call in. But honestly, you'll be able to really even forecast the type of mess that's going to be coming our way. That's what we're dealing with here.
So how are you, and welcome to the call-in family, Leslie.
Thank you.
And definitely, call back anytime. But how are you girding your loins to weather this?
Honestly, I've kind of seen it coming a while, and I've just been, growing my own food, just preparing for things. How do you live if you want to be as self-sufficient as possible? What do you do if you can't use the internet, if the internet is hijacked? Just thinking outside the box, reading more, researching more. Not, like I said, it's really honestly beyond politics. It's, these people are very demonic, and it is, like I said, more of a psychological bent in my view. So I look at it that way, and I have a book called The Art of War, and I just kind of, merge that perspective with that psychological perspective. And I'm like, okay, once you get that playbook, they all follow the same script. So I'm like, okay, that's what this is. It's, it may, the outer part of it may look a little different, but it's all the same thing. You're dealing with the same thing. And I'm like, we're wrapped up in the whole politics of it, but it's really psychological. These people are very disordered. That's what we're dealing with.
I think you're 100% right. And you should also, if you're growing your own food and getting ready, you should get the book, The Ultimate Guide to Rebuilding Civilization. It's a great book. It tells you how to do everything from like hydroelectric, how to drill, how to dig for a well, how to dig a well, how to create homemade penicillin, all of these things. Ooh. You should have that book.
The Ultimate Guide to Rebuilding
a Civilization.
Okay. And we might need that anyway. We might need it anyway. Oh my goodness. See, new caller, fairly new listener. I love it. There have been people that have been listening to the show 10 years and didn't get that. Yeah. That she was able to articulate in just a short period of time. And no disagrees and no disrespect, but we have to do better. We have to be better at articulating the things that and I have to do a better job too. But even in communicating our thoughts, to be emotional about a thing and then to spend a whole lot of time obsessing about a thing because you feel like you have an opinion, but it's not adding anything to the conversation. It's okay to not call. It's okay.
And I think we have to change this idea about winning, winning versus losing. because
Correct.
I don't care about the Democrats. I care about people, right? And
Correct.
if we can get somebody who is not a Democrat or not a Republican or whatever, and they are like champion, I can't say the word, but they're fighting for the people, right? They are fighting for the people out there. That's what I want. I want somebody who's going to make sure that we don't have predatory capitalism. I want to make sure that, colleges and people can go to college and universities. I want to make sure that kids can eat free in schools. I want to make sure that we got good teachers and teachers have what they need. I want to make sure all of that. And the people who are doing all this stuff and who are making these arguments, even in the states that they run, don't have that, right? Look at these red states. They don't have good teachers. Teachers don't have what they need. The kids don't have what they need. The people are poor. They're in abject poverty in a lot of these places. They're some of the poorest states in the country, and their people have the worst outcomes. And they're talking about their way is the best way. They're giving tax breaks to giant casinos on the Gulf of Fragile Masculinity, right? They have, this is what they're doing. And they're not actually doing things for their people. They're not helping people, right? And if you are a small C conservative and you believe in small government, then small government should not be hurting people either. It should not tell people what they can do in the bedroom or what they can do with their biology. It should not be telling them that they can't be a trans person, right? It should not be doing that. That is the opposite of liberty.
Correct. And so we need to stay on that message, because there are more people that will be impacted by that message and lean into that message than Dems and Republicans and MAGA and this and this and that, which is why I had that conversation yesterday about Wicked. It was about humanity and our ability to be able to see ourselves in these stories and walk away fighting for what's her name? Elzebub? What's her name? Alphabets. Fighting for her to be liberated and to find her power and to seize it. We were rooting for her, but you can come out in the world and destroy people just like that, or not embody that same spirit. And I feel like that's how we win, right? Walking into the thing that we are and being it fully. And also I would just add one more thing to Leslie, the community is going to be important. She said something about not having the internet. I think none of us can really imagine that. I just invested in some walkie-talkies for my crew. And I think it's important because you need to be able to communicate. Most of us don't have a landline phone, but that may not matter if the grid is down as well, but to be able to connect with one another during times of crisis. Google just bought the firm Wiz, W-I-Z, for $32 billion with a B, in a deal set to boost the tech giant's in-house cloud computing amid this burgeoning artificial intelligence. But I also think there's another component to this. This is the cash. If this actually closes, it will become Google's most expensive acquisition in the 25-year history of the company. The purchase gives Google new momentum in its effort to compete in this cloud computing, because right now Amazon has got a stranglehold on the cloud. Y'all don't even, I'm not going to use Amazon, but you on the internet, you using Amazon, right? You on any of these apps, Amazon has podcast network. There's really no avoiding it. So how do we have power in the midst of this? I was in office hours last night, and it was an amazing conversation with Dr. Carr and a bunch of Nubians, Dr. Courtney and Michael and all, and they came in and they were talking about, this very thing. Like, how do we not just survive, but thrive in a time such as this, and think about institution building and think about how we connect with one another and build out. But this cyber thing could be very, very real, especially when you have Doge with all of our information now, Starlink falling out the skies. It's faulty, just like the cars. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. But Google's telling us something right now. And somebody in last night office hours said, sometimes we can use the master's tools because it's all we have, right? Yeah. It's a nice saying. You can't use the master's tool to build. If that's all you have, you damn well better master the master's tools and know. And here's what's powerful about that. I'm sorry. Most of the time, any tools that happen on a plantation, we crafted. We had to craft it. So they technically belong to the master, but we're the ones that made them. Yeah. So these tools that we're talking about, even the power of the internet is more powerful. TikTok, all these things are more powerful because of our usage of them. So how do we use them for our liberation, but more importantly, to sustain this level of humanity that you're talking about we need to have?
Yeah, and I think that idea of what, that the freedom that in some states that people that are espousing to can work in both ways, right? You can actually use that same idea, right? The religious freedom, or the freedom of some places where they allow a lot more individual freedom and organizational freedom. You can use that to your own devices. We just got to figure out how. And this is why I say, like, when we've got Black billionaires and they're not doing this, they're not using that freedom to help the masses. They're just collecting more money and holding cryptocurrency classes or whatever, or donating to political campaigns, or asking people to donate to Maui when they've got $1 billion. I'm not saying that those people are bad in of themselves, but they have not fixed our problems, right? So that should tell us something, right? That the myth of Black excellence, this idea that there's that W.E.B. Du Bois found this flawed too, right? The idea that the talented 10th was going to rise up and bring everybody else up. And he realized the folly of that later in life and was just like, yeah, that's not what's going to happen. And so, like, we need to recognize that that's not what's going to save us. It's going to be us getting together. And the problem is that in order for us all to get together like that, like everybody, me, you, all of the people that are listening, my family, everybody, we're going to have to make a little bit of sacrifice on that. And that's the problem. That's the part that's difficult for people to hear, is that they don't want to give up that sacrifice. They don't want to sacrifice their own health, their own safety, or their own idea of eggs, right? I got so many eggs. I don't want to give you some of my eggs. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't want to sacrifice that.
I may not have enough. Well,
I know, right?
What? You got a chicken, motherfreaker. You got a chicken. Keep having eggs. The chicken is gonna keep producing the eggs. Let's feed the people. Joel Christian Gill is here, and it was Brother Marlon-esque last night, Esquire. I think he's a lawyer. It was like 4 lawyers in the room. It was crazy last night. I love Nubia so much, and to be a participant, where I'm just laying in the cut, listening and being a student in these things. I jumped in on Sunday with Dr. Narissa, and I did my little tapping, and it was really powerful. We have mental health professionals, we have holistic healers, we have, yoga and meta nature. We're about to do a Coptic class. We have a math class tomorrow to build a community around our liberation, but also with the things that we need. And it's coming. Something that, came out of a necessity during a pandemic, but now is in, real time, could power us into the next place. We have a farming community in there. We have all these groups. There's a group right now, a group chat that I'm in, Karen Hunter Show group chat. That's amazing. And I love that. I saw something in my mind's eye, and it's now here. 4 years. It's only taken 4 years.
People need to understand that collective action is always what's gotten us out of anything. That's what's gotten us out of every single situation, whether it was, enslavement, or it was collective action that got rid of the neo-slavery of the 100 years after the actual chattel slavery. Like it's collective action, right? It's all right. Like we get a figurehead, right? We have figureheads in those places, but that movement was still happening before Dr. King was there, right? It was happening before. A. Philip Randolph was doing it before him with the Porter strike. There were all these people who were doing the work, right? Bayard Rustin was behind the scene organizing everything for the March. Like, all of these people have been there, and all of the women. Like, let's not forget about all of the women that were involved, right? In the Black Panther Party and in all of these other groups. Like, there are people who are like, they don't understand that these are things that take multiple people. You cannot rely on the great man idea of history to save us, because there's not a great man that's coming, right? We are the great people. We need to come together and build something. And I think that's what people need to understand. Collective action, social solidarity, like this understanding that it's us against them. And when I say us, I mean not the wealthiest 1% and everybody else.
Experience Karen Hunter in a completely different way. Karen Hunter is awesome. The podcast.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're gonna love me in Karen Hunter is Awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of the Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is Awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power, a 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed.